So for our film review, we chose to discuss the film Taxi Driver. Directed by Martin Scorsese and starring Robert De Niro, this film is widely considered to be one of the best ever made. It was released in 1976 and has made $28.3 million worldwide. Taxi Driver was met with critical acclaim on release and is still showered with love to this day. But why? All this popularity got me thinking, what exactly about Taxi Driver has made it so popular? Why, 43 years after its release, is the film still considered to be one of the best ever made? I scoured the internet for minutes and minutes looking for answers, only stopping to check if my pizza rolls had cooled down yet. And the conclusion I came to is this. Although it takes it to the extreme, the reason Taxi Driver resonates so profoundly with its audience is because it is able to create sympathy for a character whose actions are far from moral. First of all, the most important way the film does this is by artfully portraying an emotion that we can all relate to: loneliness. Film critic Roger Ebert summarizes this well when he says, quote, "The film can be seen as a series of his failed attempts to connect, every one of them hopelessly wrong," end quote. Travis asks a girl, Betsy, on a date and takes her to a porno movie. He sucks up to a political candidate and ends by alarming him. He tries to make small talk with someone who's a Secret Service agent. He wants to befriend a child prostitute, but scares her away. Travis tries so hard to mimic the vibrant social interaction he sees everywhere around him in New York City, but nonetheless fails miserably every time. Not only that, but he is repeatedly turned down help by the others in his life. Betsy refuses his attempts at reconciliation, and a fellow taxi driver, Wizard, assures him that he need not worry about the corruption of New York, rather than offering comfort or help. These events, and the others like them, fuel Travis's mental dysfunction and serve only as the loneliness which leads him farther down his path of destruction. Travis is so lonely, Ebert later writes in the same article, that when he asks, quote, "Who you talking to?" he is addressing himself in a mirror. Building off this sense of loneliness portrayed within Travis is what allows us to sympathize with and even root for a character who would seemingly be the most alienating of movie heroes. Over the course of the film, our main character is seen doing a variety of terrible actions. He attempts murder multiple times, he harasses a woman, he attempts political fraud, and other very immoral things. All of them performances that a typical, quote, good guy would never do. And yet, Travis is nonetheless seen as the definite protagonist by the film's audience. James Berardinelli on RealReview.com describes this interesting relationship best when he writes, quote, "There's no doubt that Taxi Driver paints an extremely disturbing portrait, and yet we find ourselves understanding Travis's mindset," end quote. All these actions, which from an outside view would seem horrible, seem okay and perhaps even good because we understand Travis's motivation for them. We see his mistakes, but recognize his good intentions. We see his inhumane reactions, but sympathize with the lonely emotions beneath them. Everyone likes a tragic hero, and Scorsese takes this to the extreme by taking a borderline psychopath and making him completely relatable. We have all felt what it's like to be at rock bottom. We have all felt what it's like to be lonely. And thus, no matter his actions, we all want moral retribution for our character. Even if he would be the villain in any other context, we want Travis to win. But why does this matter? How does any of this actually make Taxi Driver a good film? The answer comes in the understanding of what films actually are. Films, in essence, are representations of the human experience, clever narrative commentaries on a shared emotion or experience among the audience. For a film to be good, the audience needs to see themselves in the main character, relate to their successes, and perhaps even more importantly, relate to their failures. This, in conclusion, is what makes Taxi Driver so good. The film takes a horribly immoral character who makes mistakes every step along the way, but makes us root for him by giving him a sympathetic background and a relatable motivation. The genius of this movie comes in the fact that it makes us root for the bad guy. And perhaps this is why so many people connect with it. We have all felt as alone as Travis. In a certain aspect, we have all felt like the bad guy. We sympathize with Travis and want him to succeed, ultimately because we want ourselves to succeed. Because, in a way, we are all Travis Bickle. Thanks for listening.